All right, we're back. Thanks for staying with us. Planet Green Trees, episode 164. Edibles and extractions. Also, if you have questions, please call 1-347-326-9626. We are going to now go to... wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Everybody should know that. Now the call for Rick Townsend with the news.
I am like Will Ferrell a little bit. Good evening, everybody. It's the news. It's September 5th, 2013, and I am Rick Thompson. In Lansing, roughly 20 patients, activists, and entrepreneurs testified today at a public meeting of the Michigan Marijuana Review Panel, which is considering a citizen petition to add PTSD to the list of debilitating conditions suitable for treatment under our state's voter-approved law. The state review panel, in a 7-2 vote last month, gave preliminary approval to a citizen petition seeking to add that PTSD to the law, and today's public hearing was the second step in a 3-step process that will culminate with the panel making a final recommendation later this year. Quote from Matthew Davies, who chairs the panel and serves as state medical executive, "This is really about having the public hearing and the public voices today. There will be ample opportunity for comments of the review panel at the next meeting." The Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs disbanded a previous version of the panel in April because the state had not appointed members in accordance with the administrative rules. Licensing and Regulatory Affairs appointed new members in June, but critics pointed out that the composition was still inconsistent with administrative rules. However, Lauer appointed an additional member last week, and the panel now appears to be set. Quoting Lauer spokesman Jeannie Vogel, "It's a full panel, all per statute." Lara will accept additional written comment on the PTSD petition through October 5th, after which members will make a final recommendation. A few dozen medical marijuana supporters rallied yesterday in front of the Capitol, claiming law enforcement officers are violating state law by punishing people who use cannabis for medicinal purposes. Michigan has allowed regulated use of medical marijuana since 2008, when voters approved a statewide ballot measure, but some marijuana users, such as Lansing resident Steve Green and friend of the show, Steve Green, said they continue to be targeted and prosecuted with drug crimes. Spokeswoman for Attorney General Bill Schuette, Joy Yearout, declined to comment on the rally or answer questions on the subject, but Michigan State Police spokeswoman Tiffany Brown said her agency, quote, recognizes the protections provided by the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act for the medical use of marijuana and has been an active participant in the ongoing legislative efforts to further clarify the voter-initiated law. Law enforcement officials in Michigan sometimes dispute Steve Green's claims, but acknowledge there's still a fog of implementing and enforcing medical marijuana regulations. Listen to this, guys. Arrests of legal patients are very rare, said Terry Jungle, a retired Ionia County sheriff and the executive director of the Michigan Sheriff's Association. Quote, the problem is not that they can't prove registration or there are issues with registration cards being valid. He said the problem is not the magnitude they're making it out to be, but there are still a lot of unresolved issues with medical marijuana. Said Green, we would hope some legislators would get involved and speak out on our behalf. We're seeing no department or the state standing up for the patients at all. In Mexico City, the city council is discussing the legalization of marijuana and the creation of private marijuana smoking clubs. Mexico's capital city hosted a 3-day forum on drug policy. The proposals being considered include allowing adults to grow 3 cannabis plants each, as well as a system of, quote, non-profit private clubs. We will be very responsible in this debate, said the chair of the city council. In Mexico City, we agree on replacing criminal policies with health policies, and we are ready to hold this debate at the right time to legislate. City council could debate the legalization proposal in October. The People of Marijuana Policy Project have continued their tactic of advertising outside popular American sporting events by purchasing ad space on a billboard outside Sports Authority Field at Mile High Stadium for this evening's Denver Broncos season opener against the Baltimore Ravens. The billboard wags a finger at the NFL for, quote, driving players to drink. The billboard is located 1 block west of the stadium. Of course, cannabis is now legal on a state level in Colorado and in Washington after the state voted to legalize recreational use for public during the 2012 election cycle. And last week, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder said federal government will not interfere with state laws legalizing pot. Marijuana Policy Project Mason DeVert alleges that the NFL hypocritically allows players to abuse alcohol while unfairly banning marijuana use. Quote, NFL players are being told that they can go out and get completely drunk, but face no punishment from the leagues. But if a player gets caught using marijuana, they could be fined hundreds of thousands of dollars, forced to sit out games, and be deemed a troublemaker. This isn't the advocacy group's first shot at reaching sports fans with its pro-pot message. You'll remember that Marijuana Policy Project attempted to air a promotional video at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway during the Brickyard 400 this July, but their ad was pulled before the race began. Pardon me. Up to 334 retail marijuana stores will be allowed in Washington state, according to the Liquor Control Board, and each county in the state will have its own cap on the stores. For example, King County will be allowed 61 stores, and 21 of them will be in Seattle. The entire state is under very strict rules. They can produce at most 40 metric tons of marijuana per year. That amount is supposedly based on state research regarding the amount of cannabis consumed prior to legalization. The rule also includes 3 production tiers. The maximum amount of cannabis allowed on the premise of an outdoor grow is 125% of an annual harvest, but indoor grows can have only half of an annual harvest on hand. But all retailers are allowed a 4-month average supply as inventory, but unfortunately no personal grows or home growing is allowed under I-502. Only commercial business grows for what one must get a license are allowed. The National Annual Survey on Drug Use and Health was released yesterday by the Office of National Drug Control Policy, and it shows marijuana prohibition has failed to accomplish its goals. According to the results, usage rates have remained relatively constant despite hundreds of thousands of arrests for marijuana-related offenses and billions of dollars spent to reduce marijuana supply and demand in the United States. The survey found that overall past month marijuana use increased by less than 0.5% from 2011 to 2012, and use by individuals aged 12 to 17 decreased by less than 0.75%. Today's survey reveals nothing new, said Dan Riffle from Marijuana Policy Project. Quote, billions of dollars are being spent to enforce marijuana prohibition laws, yet they have utterly failed to reduce supply and demand. By keeping marijuana illegal, our government is simply handing over control of a lucrative market to violent drug cartels instead of legitimate tax-paying businesses, said Riffle. And folks, that's the news. It is September 5th, 2013, and I'm Rick Thompson.